Hi guys, it's Amanda Pedersen, news editor at MD+DI, and I apologize for being a little bit tardy today. The thing is, when you have an inflammatory bowel disease, sometimes a quick trip to the bathroom ends up being an extended stay. So, and yes, that is TMI and oversharing. And normally I would probably refrain from going into those details, but it is World IBD Day. For real this time. I don't know if you remember about a month ago, I talked about how I kind of jumped the gun and I wrote a personal article or editorial, if you will, sharing my personal experience with IBD and my personal journey, which entails multiple major surgery and complications. And anyway, I did that about a month ago in April, and I did it leading up to World IBD Day. But I was kind of getting my calendar all jumbled in my mind, and IBD Day was actually further out than I realized. So I blamed it on pandemic brain, which is true. I really do think that pandemic is messing with our minds, and mine in particular. But enough about that. I'm not going to go into too much detail about World IBD Day because I did already talk about it. However, I do want to point out one thing for any entrepreneur types out there or biomedical researchers looking for their next endeavor, looking for an unmet need, the next big opportunity for innovation. I strongly encourage you to explore some of the unmet needs and quite frankly, huge market opportunity with IBD. And in fact, there's even funding available. You can check out the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, and specifically, they have IBD Ventures. You can just Google IBD Ventures, it'll take you right to it, or I'll provide a link after the video. But they do have a funding application process and grants available for researchers who are trying to develop technology to improve either the detection, the diagnosis, or the treatment for patients with Crohn's or colitis, which is collectively known as inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD for short. So again, that's IBD Ventures, and I really believe, I know that in all of my time working with people in the medtech industry, I know that there's just incredibly brilliant minds out there. So my hope on this World IBD Day is that someone in our audience will check out IBD Ventures or other funding pathways and try to make a difference in the lives of patients with IBD. So enough about that. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about real quick, just in case you missed it, is last week was a really big week for MD+DI, our editors, and so a lot of other people behind the scenes pulled together and worked on we presented what was called the Medtech Design Summit, a virtual event, and it encompassed and was presented by the Medical Design Excellence Awards show. And so we presented all the winners across 11 different categories. So, and this is a massive awards program when you think about it. There was a lot, I don't have the numbers, but a lot of finalists across 11 different categories. And the program awarded bronze, silver, and gold for each category. And then there was also a best in show, and then we also gave our audience a chance to weigh in and vote for Reader's Choice. So it was a really exciting day that took place last Thursday. But it's not too late to enjoy it and to learn from it. There was a lot of lessons learned shared during the summit. It was a full day of webinars, and the series of webinars is available on demand now. So don't feel like you've missed anything if you weren't able to join us. It's not too late. Again, links will be in the comments below, but it's available through our website. And there was a lot of really fascinating discussions. I hosted a discussion about simplification in medtech. The device industry is just getting, and the healthcare industry at large really is just getting so incredibly complex. That it's, and especially with more med tech happening at home in people's homes and more care being delivered remotely, it's really more imperative than ever that medical device designers and engineers really pay attention to simplification, make the process as simple as possible. Even the device itself might be really, really complex, but the important thing is that the user should never know how complex it is. It should be just completely seamless and work with the technology that they're used to and fit into their lives easily, and so that end user, human user research or user experience is very, very important. So there was a lot of talk about that, and then our managing editor Omar Ford hosted a really interesting discussion with the jurors of the MDEAs, all the brilliant experts in our industry who served as jurors for the MDEA program this year. They participated in a panel discussion, and it was really a really fascinating kind of peek behind the curtain. You got to kind of see, they didn't just talk about who won, but they talked about specifically what they liked about the winning devices, or other devices that maybe didn't win, but things that caught their attention. They talked about trends that they've been noticing. And of course, one of those trends, no surprise, is the number of digital health devices that were part of the MDEAs this year. And it was really funny because one of the jurors said, I really just don't like that term, digital health. And it kind of caught me by surprise. I think maybe caught some of my colleagues by surprise as well, because we write about digital health pretty much every day in one form or another. Our inboxes are just flooded with news about digital health devices and technologies. And we even have a category on our website. We have our news broken up into categories such as IVD. So all of the news that we write that's IVD related kind of makes it easier for our audience to find those stories. And then digital health is a category as well. So we thought it was really funny that this particular juror just really doesn't like the term. She said she acknowledged that that digital health, for lack of a better term, is definitely here and here to stay. But she thought that term just wasn't quite fitting of the types of technologies that fall under that umbrella, and she thought it was too mechanical of a term. So anyway, that was one really interesting takeaway. I wish I could have sat down with that juror myself afterwards and just kind of picture brain asked her more about what alternative suggestions. So I'd love to hear from you guys who are watching. If you have suggestions, what do you think about the term digital health? Do you think it's too mechanical? Do you think it doesn't quite fit the category that we think of today as digital health technologies, or do you think it's just fine? And I'd love to just hear your thoughts on whether you agree or disagree with this particular juror. It's just really interesting. Honestly, it was something that until it was mentioned during that panel discussion, I had not really given much thought to. I know in the early days, when these types of technologies were emerging, mobile health was a pretty frequently used term. That was kind of the buzzword back then, was mobile health. I don't really hear that term. Every now and then I still do, but I don't hear that term as much. And then, of course, it got abbreviated to M-Health because here in 2021, apparently we don't like to use full words. We like to abbreviate everything and shorten everything. And, thanks to the younger generations, I guess I can blame them for the trend of abbreviating words and being too lazy to pronounce full words all the time. But I'm trying to rack my brain for a better or more fitting term. And I think that, mobile health kind of faded out of popularity as a terminology simply, in my mind, simply because it doesn't quite encompass all of the technologies that fit under that umbrella. I think that digital health is a little bit broader and was intended to really be appropriate for all of the different, remote monitoring and pretty much anything with a sensor that transmits data. These days there's just so many medical devices that can be considered digital health. So maybe the category's too broad. Maybe it needs to be narrowed a bit. Maybe that was her point. I don't know. Again, I didn't get a chance to have a one-on-one with her afterwards. Omar Ford, managing editor of MD+DI, he moderated that particular discussion, and Daphne Allen, our editor-in-chief, moderated a discussion earlier in the day, and they really were all very interesting panel discussions. Thanks to all of the panelists who participated, by the way, were represented MDEA programs. So that was really cool. It was really cool that throughout the day we kind of heard from the designers and engineers kind of what their thought process was, what their criteria was, what their greatest challenges were that they had to overcome, and lots of best practices were shared and lessons learned. Great takeaways, especially for younger biomedical engineers, students that are just entering the field or just graduating and getting into the field. These are really valuable discussions, but also for veteran engineers and developers. You can always learn from your peers in the industry, and so this was a great opportunity for that. It was really great to hear from all the people that had a hand in making these devices that ended up finaling in the program throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, during the discussion with the jurors, we got to hear the jurors' thought process and kind of what their thoughts were, and it was great. It was it was a very candid discussion. They didn't hold back. They were they were pretty frank, and it was really a lively discussion. Probably, if I'm being honest, probably my favorite of the day, and that includes the discussion that I moderated, which I thought was pretty great too. So. Again, not feeling my best today, and the last thing I wanted to do was come in front of the camera on a day when IBD is getting the best of me, but at the same time that just makes it more important than ever to go ahead and jump on here and talk about MedTech, and to encourage you all to be aware that there are a lot of unmet needs in inflammatory bowel disease lots of room for innovation and funding opportunities out there. So apologize, I've kind of been, I feel like I'm talking in circles today, but again, I'm just not feeling my best. So, you know, this is me on one of my not better days. So anyway, with that, I will see you next week on what hopefully will be a better day for all of us. Until then, have a great week.